Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, just making sure I'm live on both Facebook and YouTube. Hope you enjoy this. Anyway, it's your boy M.K.S here, back video, and welcome to part 2, the second part of my list on NeuroDIVERSE or NeuroDIVERGENT, whichever term you prefer, Shatter-days. What's that called? Saturdays, in other words. And these are pointers number 11 to 20. I'll try and make it short and sweet if I can. No promises though, because I do tend to say everything that's in my mind, pretty much. But anyway, this time I'm focusing on the YouTube screen instead of the Facebook one, I think, because I did the opposite way last time. So anyway, one of the things I'd love to do actually is to have Zoom chats with NeuroDIVERSE people. I'd love to have some for like Italian soccer fans, Celtic fans, Celtic FC fans, and NeuroDIVERSE people. If you're interested in that, please let me know. So I hope I can build that connection. Try and find a way to plan it. Losing both at least temporarily lose my Facebook and YouTube channel. When I say losing, I mean them being blocked for a while. It sent me back a bit with my plans, but anyway. I'll say these are pointers number 11 to 20. So here goes. So number 11. I'd love to see how we can change life for each other. I normally think of number 11 the number 11 as like changing. Also like walking groups. We can have walking groups together. I normally think of that for Wednesdays. But we could do that maybe daily. It's something I love to do daily, but anyway, there's quite a few things. But anyway, I wonder if we could talking about change, I wonder if we could make business easy or simple, whatever the difference is. I'll get those terms mixed up like many other terms, but like many other words or terms. But I mentioned it in part 1, and I mentioned it in the past, but I wonder if we network together, could it be that easy? Like sometimes I wonder if we could just invest in things, and could it really be as easy as like putting a tenner into something and then it grows and you don't have to do any work? The thought of it making money in the easy way really makes me happy. But I can't really imagine it. But I'd say some crude jokes about it, but that really turned me on. I don't know if I can say that, but it's sexy or cool or whatever. Anyway, but then maybe life would be boring without challenges. I don't know, but we could hold each other to account and share experiences of business or whatever it might be. But yeah, I wonder if there is, let's say, a simple / easy way of running a business. I use those terms interchangeably and I mix them up like many other terms. So whatever the difference is between easy or simple, please let me know what the difference is if you know in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. On that note, people on YouTube, please check out my Facebook if you can find it, and vice versa. On Facebook, my profile should be Michael K. Shenton, and on YouTube it's M.K.S. But yeah, also talking about changes, I wonder if we could use our NeuroDIVERSE out-of-the-box creative thinking, or innovation and vision and that kind of thing to make the world a better place for all possible people, especially children, young people, and vulnerable people, and also I was going to say adults then as well, but people generally, especially young people, and I love to help young people, and also for especially the most vulnerable, like disabled people, whatever. Can we make the world better for them? Poor people, disabled people, and whatnot, and also animals as well. I was thinking recently about information about how to look after pets, how to look after animals, and how to make the world a better place for animals. Maybe that could be online. I don't know if there is already something on Google on that or whatever, or somewhere, but it would be quite cool if people share that information, say how to best take care of your pet, how to best look after animals, and all sorts of things like that. I guess it'd be a little bit different for dogs and cats, or whatever, or different animals, but there might be some general principles. I think there are similarities and differences with all sorts of animals, but yeah, how to care for your pets and how to care for animals and how to make the world a better place and nature. Got to admit, I have my problems with, like I have to mention, with hoarding paperwork and things like that. But so there's a bit of a dilemma because I really shouldn't. Not that I chop trees down, but I shouldn't get people to chop down trees. And I shouldn't get people to. And I don't want to be in people's way, so that was the other thing. But yeah, I think that covers everything for point number 11. I'm just trying to think of anything I've forgotten. But yeah, could we make business easy for each other? Could we make it easy to imagine running business and finding an easy way, or even easy ways, even better still, to make money. And could it really be as easy as just putting money into something and using dyslexic vision and neurodiverse vision generally, especially dyslexics, and maybe people with ADHD as well, and autism? I think there are certain strengths that are applicable more to different disabilities, so learning disability, neurodiverse conditions. So, for instance, dyslexic people might be more visionary, not necessarily. I'm not 100% sure, but it could be like we're better at like being visionaries, but people with autism might have a different strength, and people with ADHD might have a different strength. So maybe we could complement each other's strengths and weaknesses, and cover for each other. So some people with autism might be really good at spelling, whereas many people with dyslexia might struggle with that, so they can help with that. Some might be good at the maths, and others might just be good at coming up with ideas. But working together, hopefully we can balance each other's strengths and weaknesses and complement each other's strengths and weaknesses, or whatever. But yeah, I think we're going to move on to point number 12. I open anything I'll say, but if I did, I might cover it in part 3 or 3, answer a call 4. Yeah, point number 12. I was thinking, I don't know if I can explain this, but when I went for my walk, I was thinking, normally on Mondays, I like to focus on motivational Mondays. I know I mentioned that in part 1, I'm sure. But I was thinking that because of my use of alliterations, but because my initials are M.K.S, start with M and end in S, I thought it could be my initials in reverse. Sometimes I think about that, like my initials in reverse, so it could be S and then N. So Saturdays for Saturday motivation, actually, or Saturday mentors and all that kind of thing, mentors and motivation and that kind of thing. Although normally I like to focus on alliterations, but I think it's like sometimes things that start with M and then like acronyms that start with M and end in S, or vice versa. Acronyms and initials and things like that. I suppose an initial is a type of acronym, probably. Again, I'd love to know what's the difference, so if you can let me know in the comments. But it'd be cool if we could inspire and motivate each other. So people who, for instance, have run a business for a long time could mentor and teach and train the rest of us. Maybe they could take on a challenge and they could teach a monkey like me how to run a business. It'd be interesting. It's a real challenge. It'd probably like it's easier to teach a chimp how to speak properly. Apparently, they might say it's easier to teach a chimp or an ape how to make money than you, but they could take on a challenge. But I mean, as I said before, like I'd love to give most of my money to charity if I could, or answer a call to my 5 causes of benefiting the town, football, soccer, or whatever, Celtic, libertarianism, people from former colonies, and tackling poverty and alleviating suffering, and that kind of thing. But it'd be cool if we could inspire and encourage each other. Number 13, I know there are struggles that we face, and I normally say, for a selfish thing, I'd love to see us benefiting Italian soccer. I normally include that, number 13. But yeah, acknowledging that we do have challenges, struggles, and that kind of thing. As I normally say, point number 13. So yeah, some of our weaknesses as well as our strengths, like learning about those sort of things and that kind of thing. But number 14, a very dyslexic strength. I'm not sure if people with ADHD and so-called autism have the same level of like problem solving, but I suppose our conditions affect each other differently. So some people with autism are probably great problem solvers, and some are not. And even dyslexics, probably not all of us are problem solving people. Probably not all of us are sort of problem solvers. In fact, I suppose I'm not particularly good at it, but some dyslexics are really good at problem solving, and that might be one of the reasons why quite a few dyslexic people are in business, because they have an ability to solve problems. But there are many, obviously, also autistic success stories, like maybe even, I mean, Elon Musk says he has autism, maybe even, well, he says Asperger's, but that's type of autism. Maybe even Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates said he might be autistic, and many others. So we can work on, I'd say, one way of problem solving. One way to solve problems is, like, I'd say, to network together. So if someone's weak, if Joe Bloggs with a neurodiverse condition is part of this network, but he's weak at the maths, someone else in the group, in the team, could be good at maths, and between us, I'm sure we would be able to complement, if that's the right word, compensate for and complement each other's strengths and weaknesses, as I say. So we would be able to cover for our weaknesses. So again, some of us might be weak in some areas, but others might be strong, but between us, I'm sure there'll be many who are good at maths, communication, and different areas where we might need to be if we're going to run like businesses or whatever, and that kind of thing. Number 15, I'd say I'd love to see what neurodiverse people can do for town soccer consulting, libertarianism, former colonies, and tackling poverty and alleviating suffering, and supporting each other's goals. I know those are my sort of causes and my goals as part of that. But because it's Saturday, also, I know I mentioned like how I use a lot of alliterations. Well, most of the time, I'm a bit too obsessed with alliteration. Sometimes I should probably break free from that. But talking of which, though, reason why I mentioned that is because like Saturdays, I was Shatter-days as I call it, as I call them. Although Shatter-days, as in being tired of online most of the time, but on a slightly more serious note, sadly that is quite kind of serious. But anyway, sorry, trying to get to the point. Things that begin with S, like I'd love to support neurodivergent singers, songwriters, and singer-songwriters, and celebrate those who have already achieved. I suppose Billie Eilish is one who can be classed as neurodivergent. Florence Welch, I think her name is, from Florence and the Machine, and many others, but I can't really think of many off the top of my head. But I think even Justin Timberlake has ADHD. will.i.am, I think, has ADHD, and I'm sure there are many others I might not have heard of or whatever, or don't really know yet, have a neurodiverse condition. But I think even Eminem, some say, might be autistic. I'm not so sure about that, but as I say, celebrating those who have gone before us, but also helping to encourage each other. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the confidence to sing. I was thinking, like, what if I had the confidence to sing, but I think I'm a bit tight now. I might need that for another day, but maybe next week. If you'd like to hear me sing, please let me know. And next week I might on Saturday or whatever. Mondays, Saturdays, and Sundays, like using my use of alliterations like music, singing, songwriting, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so I'd love to support, as I say, singers, songwriters, and singer-songwriters as well. So those who are either singers or songwriters, or both, of course, covering all my bases there. So yeah, singers, Andrew, or songwriters, as I put it. And I think celebrating those who have gone before us could be a good way to look at the positive sides of neurodiversity and inspire future generations as well. So people to have more confidence to think, yeah, maybe I can be a singer or whatever. So for those who are not so good at school, they can find other ways to do well. Number 16, I'd love to have, talking about words that begin with S, as I say, I'd love to have a social support network where we support each other's social media channels. So like YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Meta or whatever, and all sorts of different social media sort of platforms. So we subscribe to each other's channels, like each other's videos, hint, as I say. But on a serious note, like support each other. I mentioned recently like how, I think it was only yesterday, I mentioned that between us there are millions of us worldwide, and you can't skip this. But on a serious note, there are millions of us worldwide, and by subscribing to each other's channels and supporting each other's videos and things like that, and supporting each other's social media content and whatnot, we could help each other to make money from such, hopefully to monetize such. So that could help us to have the finances we need if we can't get jobs or we can't keep jobs or whatever it might be. So we wouldn't have to worry about those things. And talking of which, number 17, sometimes I try and think of specific things for certain days, but this is quite a general one, but I normally think of it on Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and I suppose I'm thinking of it now, and I might think of it tomorrow. But and again, apologies, I've probably mentioned this before, but I was thinking like Virgin Money, founded by Richard Branson, a fellow dyslexic guy, obviously he's neurodiverse, and also Charles Schwab and Schwab Corp in America. I wonder if they could work together and have a global platform for neurodivergent people all over the world, whether that's dyslexics, ADHDers, autistics, or whatever. So for November, I want to focus on all different types of neurodiverse conditions, anything that can be classed as neurodivergent or neurodiverse, whichever term you want to use, as I say. And could you imagine if they invested our money on our behalf? So for some of us, we might just want to put our money, give them our money, and put our money into a platform that they have where they work together and they invest it on our behalf. and maybe they benefit from working together as well. And hopefully they'll grow our money for us, so we'd have enough money. Now, to be honest with you, I would love for us to have enough money whether we work or not. So I think of different scenarios, and again, I've probably been through this before, but I'm going to go through it again. So, for instance, if Joe Blogs with a neurodiverse condition puts money into this platform, or whatever you want to call it, and it's invested on, I suppose Joe could be a generic name, invested on their behalf, if they couldn't get a job, they wouldn't have to worry, hopefully, because hopefully it will give them enough, at least, to have the minimum wage, at least, depending on how much money they put in into this pot, as well as like other things, like, so between like social media, supporting each other on social media, investing together, and also saving money together, buying in bulk together, buying as a group and saving money on our bills and things like that, and looking at giving each other advice and information on how we can have the cheapest possible energy bills and all sorts of things like that. We can lower our energy bills and all that, as long as it's legal, most importantly. I always encourage it to be legal. But as I say, Joe Blogs would not have to worry about not being able to get a job. They wouldn't have to also worry about, like, what if I lose my job, if I've got a job, like, how am I going to pay the bills? Because hopefully that money will come in. And I think of different scenarios that gives that freedom. And that's why I include this is in third as a scenario in this like little list, a list within a list. But so there could be someone, let's say Joe Blogs, who can't afford, who can't get a job. Another person could be Mark Blogs, let's say, who worries about, what if I lose my job? It could be Mary or Mark Blogs. And another person could be Tim Blogs or whatever, and they might worry about, or Tamara Blogs or whatever. I'm just thinking it could be male or female, anyone with a neurodiverse condition. I'm trying to cover all those bases, but they might think, what if one day I wanted to quit my job, or what if I no longer had a job, enjoyed my job, or maybe they could say, well, I enjoy it, I enjoy working, but I'd love to have that safety net. So basically it would be a safety net for those who either can't get a job or might want to quit their jobs or might worry about losing their jobs or whatever, to put it as simply as possible. So a nest egg there, if you like, to make enough money to live on whether we work or not. Now, some people might want to continue, some people might have a job and not think they're going to lose it or whatever, or they might just want to continue, but it would be good to have that safety net if they ever change their mind, or the economy goes pear-shaped or whatever. Unfortunately, as much as I love for everyone to have a house, and enough to drink and enough to eat and whatever, and at least the bare essentials in life, whether they're neurodiverse or not, especially my fellow neurodivergent people, and particularly in developing nations, I especially want to support neurodiverse people, especially in November. But yeah, I'd love for this to be available internationally. So as I talked about, like people from Brazil and places like that, maybe they need to invest to get by if they can't get jobs, especially the way the economy is going, because there might not be enough jobs there. And you might, like, people stay awake at night thinking, what if I lose my job? How would I pay my bills or whatever? So, I say whatever, but I don't want to make a light of the situation, of course, but they would have that money there as a safety net, but it wouldn't come from benefits or anything illegal or whatever. And some people, and therefore it give you the freedom and the options, and then what I call potential FU money. So I say it's potential FU money because I think, like, let's say your boss treats you really badly, you could silent quit on them and say, I've got enough money, because he or she treated me really badly, I'll just leave them, not knowing I'm not showing up. So that would teach them a lesson. But the other thing is, like, it could be that you want to quit, but you want to quit in a nice way. So you want to focus on your hobbies or setting up a business or whatever it might be. So you have that opportunity and that confidence and that kind of thing. So we support each other in that way as well. So between those things, between the social media and investing and saving together and sharing knowledge and information, advice and guidance and whatnot, whatever the difference is between advice and guidance, the cheapest deals for things and things like that. So knowledge on that kind of thing as well, that kind of thing. We would hopefully be empowered. So I hope that will make sense. If you have any questions, as ever, please fire away if you have any questions or comments. But yeah, so whether we work or not, we would have enough money to live on, at least. And again, some people might think, yeah, I still want to work as well. So you'd have that option. So if you're a teacher, you'd still have that, but you wouldn't have to worry about whether you're going to lose your job or whatever, or if you're just unable to get a job or whatever, or even if you just want to focus on your hobbies and interests or whatever, at least you have the money there. which tells me that money is more important than jobs. Really, obviously, that's the thing you work for most of the time, unless you really enjoy your job, in which case you're very lucky, I guess. But I'm thinking too much of jobs, so I'm going to move on to number 18. I hope to promote a positive image of neurodiverse conditions, like what we can achieve and what we can contribute to the world. And again, I'd love for us to be philanthropists and give money away. But obviously, we have to have enough to live on ourselves. Obviously, we don't. I'm sure no one wants to be. Pretty much no one wants to be homeless, whether you're neurodiverse or not, and sure, or starve or things like that. Yeah, so I hope we can do a lot of good for the world, but I also hope that we can be empowered ourselves as well as empowering others. I think that covers everything for number 18. I'll be kicking myself later if I've forgotten anything. But number 19, I love to support neurodivergent software developers, programmers, software developers, coders, app builders, AI makers, and whatnot. And again, talking about philanthropy, I'd love for neurodivergent people to go to parts of Africa, for instance, and teach about software development, programming, software development, coding, AI, and that kind of thing. For those who know about it, obviously, you have to know about it to teach. And so, or maybe write letters, for instance. Like, I'm not very good at tech, right? I love the irony of not being very good at tech or much, really, but just having imagination and ideas and whatever. And with the support of others, like writing letter-headed letters and making videos like this, but hopefully more coherently than me, I guess, which unfortunately I'm not very coherent, but it's not saying much, but hopefully coherently enough, basically, to say to Microsoft, IBM, Apple, Oracle, and companies like that, please help people in Africa to become involved in software development, things like programming, software development, coding, and that kind of thing. So it's like people say hard work, but I think the main thing is the end goal. Like if let's say I shared that idea and someone said, oh yeah, that's really good, that would be a good thing to do, and those who are already good at programming or coding, software development, coding or whatever, could go and teach in Africa, across Africa and around Africa and that kind of thing. And those who can write letters and or make videos could make videos and send those videos, those vlogs, to Microsoft, IBM, or whatever. And I mean, to make that video once, they just have to share the link, hopefully, with those companies, or a letter, hopefully just written once, and could talk to all the tech companies to say, please, as many of you as possible, would you support such? And maybe even like companies like Walmart, Marks and Spencer, McDonald's, Nike, and all sorts of different companies, Sainsbury's, Asda, Tesco, Morrison's, or whatever companies around the world. So not just tech companies, but even other companies could fund like programs that help Africans in STEM and that kind of thing. So even if it was just writing a letter and people said, oh, that's quite easy, but for some people it would be easy. Obviously, I struggle with writing, you probably know, with my punctuation, or that, having the worst punctuation in the world. So yeah, I love the irony if I achieved, and the fact that I'm not very good at tech, but if I could help to encourage others with the pockets, the bank accounts, and the ability generally to help those in Africa, I think would be quite an irony. And number 20, also in STEM generally, and helping, like, again, teaching people in Africa and maybe Asia, people in orphanages, disadvantaged backgrounds and whatnot, and hopefully a very positive way to help people across Africa, Asia, and developing nations generally, Latin America and whatnot, and poorer backgrounds generally as well, especially in developing nations in particular. So I hope to encourage neurodivergent people to do that. And yeah, so if people can write those letters and make those videos and say to big tech companies, and even companies generally, like I say, could you fund laptops and tech training and things like that, and basically offer, as I say, funding for STEM education across Africa and around Africa and places like that. And I'm going to stop laughing anyway. And for Aboriginals as well. And I'm out. And peace and love. Hope all that makes as much sense as possible.